Yes. Are you able to hear me?
Yes, you are audible.
Hi, Upma. Am I pronouncing
Hi.
correctly? Upma?
Yeah. It's this.
Is it Upma?
Are you able to hear me?
Yes, I'm able to hear you.
Are you able?
Yes,
It's
yes.
Upma itself, a South Indian dish. Don't worry about it.
Okay, nice. All right. Shall we wait for a little bit more time? Yeah. Yes. Shall we give a little bit more time because many have registered. They have showed a lot of interest actually.
Okay. Let's wait for them for
Yeah.
say 7, 10 tak. I believe they'll join.
Yes. I've sent out reminder as well.
Yes, we have received that.
Okay. Right. We'll wait for another just 1 minute and then we'll just start. Hi, Isha. Please turn on your video if it is possible. It will be great. Okay. All right. Yes. People coming in. Yes. Are you able to see my screen? Is it visible?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. So you're part of the Iron Lady community, right, Mark?
Yes, yes.
Yes. So I was actually there at the summit, but I couldn't stay for long.
No, I was not there at summit this
You were
time.
not there.
I couldn't make it.
Okay. Yeah, somehow I managed, but I was just there for a few hours. It was a wonderful session, but to see a lot everybody after almost after years getting together, no?
Actually, I reside in Faridabad, that's NCR.
Mm,
So commuting was a concern.
mm, right.
That's why.
You're having cold? Is it because of the weather?
Yeah.
Mm, okay. Yeah, immunity is a bit low, can I say?
Mm. It's
Let's
very
see.
cold over here, so
Mm,
that's why.
right, let's see. If this session helps you in any way to increase your immunity and everything else. All right. Hi guys. Please, can you turn on the video? Um, if it's possible, if you're not in office, if it's okay for you. Anyways, we'll just start. All right. I'm doing a recording as well, just in case you can share it a little later. Yeah. Can you see the screen now? Is it proper?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, fine. So this is a topic of, we'll try to look at some routine realignment so that it addresses any kind of a health issue, be it mental or physical. So basically, health issue in the sense it can get converted into a disease, it could be a disorder, it could be some discomfort as well. So how do you remove that term dis and make it into something that helps us to go on in our day-to-day life with the best energy possible. I'm basically an energy psychologist, so I'm connecting psychology with the principles of acupuncture, acupressure, and various other traditional energy elements that we have. We have been following that in our culture, but for some reason, over time, we've kind of moved away from it. We've kind of lost track, and we have taken a different path, a totally different path, which is kind of not aligned with what we should have been aligned with, at least through our culture. So this session is trying to bridge both the traditions, modern and the traditional sciences. We'll try to connect both together and see how it helps us in our routine life by making it easier, right? So this is one hack, I would say. Well, it's one massive hack. It's a big one, but it becomes I've kind of simplified it such that it becomes easier. So that it overall improves our activity, immunity, and our productivity. Right. So the agenda is we'll take a look at some certain aspects of experiences, how we see things, how we perceive things, and all, and then connect it with our day-to-day modern routine. What is our modern routine? And we will connect it to our body, since we're talking about health, which is very much connected to our body, be it physical or mental. We will try to connect the routine that we follow to our body's routine. So that's something that we'll be trying to bridge, and then develop a customized routine, a routine that can help us address our bodily aspects as well as our day-to-day aspects. Right? That will be the fair agenda of today. Now, I would like to have it as very interactive. As of now, I'm able to see you only. So, if you're able to share some points, the thoughts that you get on the chat box or verbally, it will be great. Yeah, I would like
Sure.
to keep it very interactive because it's very important for us to open up first, see things and open up, and then so that we can receive the new information, whatever information that we have, it will get enhanced, right? So what you see over here, it's a CT scanner,
MRI scan.
MRI scan,
MRI.
CT scan. Okay, so it looks, how does it look? It looks posh, sophisticated, right? Elegant. It's wonderful from outside, right? It's completely beautified, right? Okay, how does it look internally? This is the internal part of the CT scanner. Okay, so there are lots of parts in it, multiple parts in it. So, but we are not seeing that externally, right? Externally, it's all composed. Now, okay, what do you see over here?
Drill machine.
Gun machine. It's actually a drilling machine. The
Yeah, drill
which
machine.
is drilling machine, which we can a CT scanner will not be possible. We cannot have it in our house, right? But this is possible. Most of the houses would need it. So this is a drilling machine that is very compact, right? It is used to basically drill holes in the walls or whichever wood or wherever, right? It's a small machine that is available. So since it's a machine, there are parts in it, right? Even if it is a small machine, when compared to a CT scanner, it has got minute parts in it. Only then it will work properly. With these parts is when it will be able to work properly, right? So when one part is not working, let's say some part within it is not working, we will not be able to use this drilling machine properly, right? It will go out of purpose. Yes. So what is an alternative to this machine? We used to have this hammer. The hammer also used to drill holes with a nail. It would need an additional part, a nail, which will be externally inserted into the wall. But the hammer is can we say that it is far less complicated than a drilling machine? Yes.
Yes.
Yes, it's
Yeah.
very
Yeah.
compact. This was the earlier ways of drilling holes into the wall, right? We used to have a hammer. Is there any complicated part over here? No, it's very simple. It's got an iron head and it's got a wooden handle, right? It is very simple. There's no complication over here. So when there is any kind of an issue in drilling the hole, which would be easier to handle? A drilling machine or a hammer? A
Drilling machine.
drilling machine would require some experience, right? Some
Yeah.
awareness, some knowledge, right? Some kind of a prior knowledge to drill the hole correctly. Because if you drill it, because it since it works very fast,
Yeah. I agree from
yes,
that point of view.
it's an
It will
electronic
increase your
device.
effort basically.
Mm,
Mm.
right. It's a motor, no? So if you manhandle it, then it's going to create more problem. It's going to mess up the place. So in terms of handling, a hammer would be mm, sufficient if you do not have the enough experience, right? So you would prefer to have a simpler device, right? When you don't have the experience, when you're not aware of how to use something, you try to prefer a simpler experience to gain knowledge first, become aware of it, use it properly. All right. Now similarly, this is a concept of the body or as well. There are parts within the body, right? These parts are all working together at different times. Yes, they have different functionalities, but they all have to work to get the body functioning well, right? So it's also the human body is very much like a machine where multiple parts are involved. Can we say these parts are complicated also? They are very microscopic in nature also, so it becomes very complicated, right? To handle these organs, to understand these organs. Now, why are we talking about organs straight away over here? What does it have to do with our everyday life? How these organs are there within us? How does it matter what happens outside? How does it matter with what we think? Right? Only this is the connection that we'll be trying to understand in this session. So if you see look at these organs, the heart is a vital organ, Liver is a vital organ, kidney is a vital organ, intestines are also vital. In some way, intestines are also vital. Imagine a situation when you have digestion problem. How would be your routine? How would be your thought process? How would be your day-to-day activities? How would be your emotions? The heart is a very vital one, yes, but what happens when the intestine is having a problem? How do we handle that? Can we control what is happening to the intestine? Can we prevent what is going to happen to the intestine? Ensure that it is working in the best manner, in the ideal manner that it should, right? So now let's look at one system. Now we've looked at all the organs that are there in the human body. Let's look at one system. This is the endocrine system that we have, which is responsible for the hormones that are getting secreted in the body. These organs, these glands are responsible for the emotions that we experience because emotions are connected to our hormones, and these are the glands that secrete the hormones. How they are secreting, that's a physiological part. We will have to get there once we understand that a certain hormone is creating a problem for us. If there's one particular hormone that's causing an imbalance, that is imbalance, then we'll have to get in deeper into it to address that, right? But overall, when your hormone, let's say for instance, melatonin is a hormone. That's a hormone that is secreted by the pineal gland, and that is actually a sleep hormone. So when you have to sleep, you will naturally tend to have sleep. You will want to sleep when the sleep hormone is secreted. So ideally, for human nature, sleep is supposed to happen in the night time when the sun is down. Sleep is supposed to happen in the dark. So the melatonin has to get secreted at that time, during the night time. Now, what if it doesn't get secreted in the night time? Won't that disturb your system? You're not able to sleep well in the night. So what happens? You get a tiring day. Since your brain is already working or is already awake, it's going to feel a little bit tired, fatigued in the morning during the daytime. So the secretion of the hormone is very much crucial. It should get secreted at the right time in the right amount, right? So these are the small things that build up our system. They help to build the immunity that we look for, the right emotions that we look for, the energy that we look for. It is very essential for the inner organs to function very well. Yes, there's a huge responsibility on the brain to ensure that they're all functioning well. But the brain just gives us signals. It's like a switchboard. When the switch is turned on, it will send the signal for the grinder or the mixie to work. It's just going to do that. But when the signal doesn't pass, the brain will not know why the signal is not passing. Let's say there's a cut in the wire, or there's a short circuit in the electrons that are flowing inside. External, there could be a cut in the wire, so the signal doesn't pass. Internally also, there could be, which is invisible to us. When the electricity is passing, when there's a short circuit, the signal will not pass. So the switchboard will not know that what has happened, the signal, why the mixie is not working. That is supposed to be examined by us, right? An external person comes and examines that. So the flow of that electricity should be seamless, right? So just putting the pressure on the brain, saying that the brain has to see that the hormones are getting secreted well. The brain has to ensure that your digestion has to happen well. This is putting extra pressure on the brain, right? We're trying to control something. We're trying to address something without looking at the right reason. Is the brain completely responsible for all this? for our immunity being low, for us catching cold, for us having even COVID attack? Is the brain responsible, or is it just the organs? They're all interconnected, right? When some
Organs.
organ doesn't work well, also it gives a reverse signal to the brain. So what happens when there's a reverse signal, when there's a reverse message going on, it messes up, it reverses the other signals as well. So this is how there's a chain reaction. So when one thing, let's say basically your sleep, when your sleep is affected, it and sleep is so subtle that we kind of ignore it most of the time. One day we have bad sleep, we kind of ignore it. We try to manage it, right? We try to put extra effort when you're fatigued the next day. We try to put extra effort and then try to handle it, right? Okay, we will just plan that. Okay, the next day, following day, I will be sleeping well. You'll try to give some extra time or try to ensure that you sleep well. But what happens when this keeps repeating, when it becomes repetitive? Will we know the reason why it happened? Why the sleep is getting affected? Will we know that? It's going to be this would require some external effort. This is where you'll have to check what went wrong. Why didn't you sleep well? And what happens when you sleep well? Your system entirely gets affected because there's a time for each of these organs to work, to rejuvenate themselves, to revive themselves. There is a time that is there for each of these organs, each of these glands, and the systems. So, when these systems do not get their correct time, that's when the signal gets messed up, right? So, let's now connect the organs with the emotions that we experience. Positive emotions is what we all love, right? We want everybody to be happy. You want yourself to be happy all the time, right? That is something that everybody loves. Happiness is what, joy is what everybody loves. Being positive is what everybody loves. So that is also possible when these organs work well, because each of these organs have a way of expressing themselves, and that is through emotions. Emotion is basically an expression of your inner self to the outer world. That's what emotions are basically. So when you try to suppress a certain emotion, let's say you want to cry at a certain place, but you're not able to, you're in a mall and for some reason you're in a lot of grief and you want to cry out, and it's not possible. You just imagine that it's not possible. So you try to suppress your um, grief. So what happens? That particular organ which is responsible, which is connected to grief, I would say that the organ that is connected to grief is lungs and large intestine. This is there in our traditional sciences. It's been proven in our traditional sciences. There's been a connection between the grief that you experience and the lungs and the large intestine. There's been a connection. So what happens when this emotion is getting suppressed? It it subtly, very minutely affects the functionality of your lung. It minutely affects the functionality of the large intestine. So that's when what happens? Breathlessness happens over time. When this happens for 1 day, 2 day, that's fine. But when it happens for over time is when you understand that you start to noticing that there's something really wrong. But we look at the lung. We start looking at the large intestine. What happens to the large intestine? Constipation happens. That's a very prominent one. Gut issues happens, right? So all these things happen at the organ level. Once you do not know how to understand the emotions that you're experiencing. So this is how the emotions, and our emotions come from deep within us. So what is coming from within us and what is getting expressed in the outer world. If only when we are able to connect these two, things will become as usual as possible, as natural as possible, just like the current flowing through the wire. Okay, now let's get into our everyday routine. So these are some questions that we could look at. So over time, have we seen our routine changing when we compare our current routine, our modern day routine?
Can we, sorry to interrupt, can we go back once for the previous picture once, or would you be able to share this, or can you share
Yes,
the
yes, I
screenshot?
see. Okay, the thing is, if my Zoom meeting gets disconnected, can you please log in again? I've just got some
Okay,
message,
sure.
right? Let me stop
Sure.
sharing. For some reason, it needs a login. If it gets hanged, please do. Sometimes it continues, but I just got a pop-up. So Isha and Monica, please, if you're able to log in again, please do. Okay, can you see the
Yeah.
screen now?
Yes.
Yes, we are able to.
Okay, thank you. If you're able to, if you're not able to see if this call gets disconnected, please do log in again. I need to check my setting then. All
Sure.
right. All right. So our everyday routine has our routine changed over time? Yes, when compared to our parents and their prior generation, obviously our routine has changed, right? We've become very fast, mechanical to say. We depend a lot on these machines and gadgets, right? Without a fridge, without a washing machine, life is so unimaginable, right? So, and we connect it, and this routine is connected to our work, right? How much of work we do, and we tend to work a lot to earn a lot, right? It feeds back into the routine, into our mechanical life. So this has been the standard routine as of now, which we have comfortably accepted. That's how life is, and we have comfortably accepted it. So how do we move on when we understand that I've got anxious issues, anxiety issues, I've got anger issues, I want to take charge of what is happening around me. I've got people at home. I have to cater to their needs. I have to cater to my own needs. I've got my own health issues. I keep falling sick. How do I need to feel energized all the time. When I really need the energy, I need to be there. I need to be there at that moment. But we have to address our routine as well. How do you bridge this? That's a challenge, right? And that is for the once we know how to bridge it, it will take care of our self, or your inner self and your outer self. When your organs are getting the time, the need, the respect, the value that they deserve, once they get it, won't they be functioning well? Won't the brain be very happy to send out the right signals at the right time? Won't it make sure that the hormones are getting secreted at the right time? Won't the liver work in the perfect manner? Liver is the largest organ in the body, and it takes the most pressure. It is the last organ to express itself. When it's got taken all the pressure of the body, of the entire body, once it's really done, it takes a lot of time for the liver to express itself. Fatty liver is a condition. It takes a lot of time. That happens mostly for those who smoke and drink. So immediately as soon as you start smoking, do you get a fatty liver condition? No, it takes time. It takes years, 10, 15 years, easily it takes. So that's how strong the liver is. Kidney is another organ. It's got so many minute parts. The nephrons are so tiny at so granular level that it takes lots of years for, they are basically filters. So it takes a lot of years for the filters to clog, and then it will start malfunctioning once, when most of the nephrons are not working well. That's how the kidney works. Heart is another thing. It's a pumping organ. It's a vital organ. So how do we bridge this? How do we ensure that our organs, our internal system is working well, provided we are able to live our life to the fullest? That gives the energy for us. Once your organs are working well, once your emotions are in the right way, once you're feeling rejuvenated internally, that's going to come out externally as energy. You're going to look energized all the time, and you're going to cater to everybody's needs all the time, right? Can you have a smiling face to your maid all the time? Is it possible? Can you even imagine that, having a positive thought about a maid when something happens, wrong happens? Imagine, we know what happens when something goes wrong with what the maid does, right? So how can we have an energetic feeling over at that time? How is it possible? It is possible. Once your internal system is in harmony, it's completely balanced, then what you're going to show outside, your emotions, what you're going to emote outside also is going to be balanced, right? So we are going to get there. This routine hack is going to help us to ensure that our internal system is perfectly in sync, in harmony, and our external expression is also in harmony, harmonious to the environment around us. Now, how does life move on? Like, this is how it goes, right? So when I'm talking about a routine hack, a routine change or something, we have to adapt to something. So this is how a seed, a plant grows. From a seed, the roots and the shoots will start coming out step by step. It's not going to, it's not that we're going to seed something and then we're going to get a tree out of it in just a couple of days. It's going to take time to grow. So this is how life is. We have to nurture the seed. We have to ensure that the right nutrients, here in this case, the right nutrients could be the diet that we follow, the exercises that we do, the thoughts that we have, the actions that we do, the behavior that we follow. All these things will compose of the nutrients that we feed to our own self. So the more you feed the best information to, best nutrient to yourself, you're going to come out in a fruitful manner. You're going to get the best fruit out of it, right? So this is how life is. Basically, life is like this. So it's very important for us to keep feeding the right nutrient. First of all, find out which is the right nutrient. First of all, we need to also know where is the problem, whether the leaf is having the problem or the root is having the problem, or even the soil is having the problem, right? We need to first identify all these things and then give the right nutrient so that you get the right fruit. Okay. Now, we've spoken about body organs, we've spoken about emotions, we've spoken about how life is basically, right? How we need to express ourselves, all that we have spoken. Now, body organs with everyday routine. That's one dot. We'll have to connect. How do you connect your bodily organs? Organs are actually functioning all the time. Heart is functioning 24/7 without any stoppage, right? Without, it's involuntary. Heart has to function that way. So how do we control or address that particular organ to our everyday routine? Is that possible? Is it necessary? Then there are how universal elements. Now each of these organs, let's say muscles, muscles are kind, they are part of the body, right? They are certain part of the body. The body has got muscles, it's got nerves, it's got blood, right? All these things are various components of the body. So now in our traditional science, they said that these elements also, these components are built up of something, right? Just like electrons and protons build up the electricity, right? With the electrons flowing, only electricity happens. So that is an essential component. Like that, the muscles are containing certain elements, universal elements, right? We'll get there a bit later. Universal elements that are common with the surroundings and what is there within us. Same way, the nerves are composed of certain elements, right? How do we connect these elements, the elements that build the organs, with the functionality of the organs itself, right? It all comes under quantum science. We have to go deeper. It's a lot that becomes invisible, which it's just as much like we breathe, right? The breath, can you see the breath that we breathe? We know it is oxygen, but are we able to see it? But we know the value of it, no? We know it's the impact that it has, right? The oxygen that we breathe. It is this connection is so subtle that only when you consciously understand this connection, we will be able to address what is happening to us from within and what is happening to us outside also. Right? Emotions. Hi, Isha. Are you able to hear me?
Hello. Yeah, I can hear.
Oh, thank you so much for being there. I don't know. I need to check my settings. Let me get
No
back.
problem.
Yeah. Okay. So let me
I
just.
request you to please share that screenshot. I was not able to take it. It's very interesting thing. I wanted to look into it, but yeah,
Okay.
maybe on
Okay.
WhatsApp
Yeah.
you can share that later.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Are you able to see the screen now?
Yeah.
Okay. I hope Mukma is able to join because she was the one who logged in very early. All right. Okay. Let's see. I do plan to have more sessions because this is a very deep subject, and
Yeah. So
I've been
join.
wanting to.
Yeah. It seemed to. You are explaining it very well. It's interesting.
Thank you. I've been wanting to do this session for a long time. Somehow it's happened after the summit. Yeah, things have become easier. All right. So now,
Oh, okay.
yeah. So, universal elements and emotions, they're all interconnected. And now thoughts. Basically, emotions is something that that is used to express. We call it for expression. But before an emotion comes, before we are hit with an emotion, there's a thought that happens. The brain thinks something. Okay, only then it comes out as an emotion. Like let's say anger. Anger is an emotion. But is it something that comes out just like that? It's a signal that happens inside the brain. Once it gets piled up, that signal gets piled up, that's when the brain realizes, no, I have to emote it in this way. Why is it anger and not fear and not tears? Anger comes at a certain time, fear comes at a certain time, tears come at a certain time, joy comes out at a certain time. So how does a brain know that I have to emote this way at this particular situation? Because there's a thought process that happens internally. Only after that gets triggered, when it gets completed, that thought gets completed, that's when the emotion comes out. It understands, the brain figures out, yes, anger is my right emotion over here. Fear is my right emotion over here, right? That's when the brain decides. That's when the hormones connected to anger start getting secreted. So what happens when an anger related hormone gets secreted? What happens to the body? What happens to the heart? That's when this palpitation happens. Too much of anger, rage happens, eyes start turning red, all that happens, right? So it is so much connected. Just a minute thought within ourself has an impact on the physical body. So powerful are these thoughts. Now we have to get deeper into the thought that we are actually building up. What is thought? Thought is something we could say it is logical, illogical, rational, irrational. All these definitions are there. I'm not going the technical way, but we all know that thoughts have a pattern, right? I'm thinking in a certain way. A child looks at something in a certain way. A parent looks at something in a certain way, right? We are all thinking, but we think differently, so how does this thinking happen? So when a child is feeling joyous at a certain point, when he's mischievous, he's going to have fun. Whereas when a parent sees a mischievous child, the parent has a different reaction. The parent feels a different, expresses a different emotion. Why does it happen? But the action is the same. The child is mischievous. She's done some naughty action. Action is the same, but the way we respond to each person responding is different, right? So this is basically because we have a thought process. And how this thought process happens, it's, we could say in simple terms, belief system, the knowledge that we have acquired over time, right? What a child, how a child sees something, whereas a parent seeing something, the range is high, right? So because of the knowledge that the parent has built up over time, the understanding that the parent carries, the maturity that the parent carries, the level of hormones that are secreted in that parent, right? The genetic impact, all that is there. So how these thoughts, can these thoughts control everything? Is it possible? Can my thought control my heart's functionality? Can my thought control my sleep hormone? Ensure that I sleep, I don't have insomnia, I don't have an anxiety attack, a panic attack. Yes, can this thought ensure that I feel joyous all the time? It is actually possible. That's the science behind it. Once you know the science behind it, it becomes very artistic. It's just like an artist's work, how you play around with the science, right? Michelangelo is the greatest painter, and there's so much science in his, it is art, but there's so much science in his art, right? The angles that he has used, physics was kind of discovered over there, right? Leonardo DiCaprio, he's an artist, he's a multifaceted person, but in his drawings they were able to capture physics. So how are these all connected? Once you know the science, you'll be artistic with it. Once you know the art, you'll be very scientific with it, right? That's how the body works, that's how the universe works. Now let's get back to our routine. Okay, so once you've figured out that these are all interconnected, right? They are all very much interconnected in a very subtle manner. Now this is our routine, right? Once we have understood that, yes, what I do has to what I react, or how I react has to have a connection with how I feel within myself, how my organ is functioning. Let's say my large intestine is messed up. For some reason it is messed up. There is a reason. We can get to that. Why the large intestine is messed up, at what time, at what level, at what intensity, and all tells a lot. It speaks a lot. We can't just take it for granted that my intestine didn't work well. I didn't have a good bowel moment. There is a reason. There is a connection over there. That's a decoding that we'll have to do. That's one thing. So, but once we know that my intestine is not working well, can I ensure that what my activities prior to that was disturbed? Can we say that? Right? When mixie doesn't work, let's say the electricity, there could be multiple reasons. No, the machine didn't work well. There's a part that has got damaged, or the wire that has got damaged, or there's no power supply. It could be anything. So we have to do a backtracking of what is actually happening. Why isn't the mixie working, right? Sorry. Why isn't the mixie working? So how do we connect it to our human body? Now, this is our routine. We sleep. Let's start with that. I'm starting with like ending the day, right? Sleep. The reason that's the first one is because it is so subtle that, and especially as women, we try to ignore it. Right, with our day-to-day routine, we tend to, the most abused, I would say the most abused behavior that women have is sleep. We try to use it to the maximum, right? Mess it to the maximum or use it to the maximum, right? So there's a sleep that happens initially. There are 5 levels of sleep, okay, 5 stages of sleep, but I've just taken the prominent ones, what we understand. Once we hit the bed, there's one sleep, and then we get into deep sleep, right? Then we get up in the morning. Then we have breakfast, we then go work. This is for, since we are in the work culture, we'll have to go to work, we'll have to have lunch. And then is a nap possible? In the corporate world, is a nap possible? That is another thing. Some people can have naps, but not all the time, right? Nap is possible. And then you, after lunch, you start working and then have dinner. Your travel and all that comes under this. It comes under work. Dinner, relax, and bedtime. So this is how our routine is, broadly speaking. Now, can we connect this to the internal organs? Now that is a routine that we follow. How about the routine of the internal organs? The body organs also have an internal routine. Traditionally, it has been found out that each of the organ has got 2 hours for itself to rejuvenate itself, to revive itself naturally. Each of the organ has been allocated 2 hours to repair itself. So once you give the time for that particular organ, during its allocated time, it will repair itself perfectly well. For the heart, the time is 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. It's been proven in our records, but in our modern science is kind of struggling to understand this relationship as to how 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. is the time for the organ, because it is so subtle that we are not there's no machine that can identify that. It's not a chemical flow that you can measure. It is so subtle. That's why it's called a vital force. There's a vital force that flows. It's just like the breath that we breathe. The oxygen that we breathe in is so important. The heart knows that. Each of our body cells know that, how important it is. But technically, we'll not be able to measure that oxygen that we breathe. What happens to the oxygen? There is a transformation of the oxygen that we breathe when it gets into the human body. It gets transformed. In traditional science, we call it as a prana. Modern science will not be able to identify that, because there's no gadget to identify that. There's no measuring scale to identify that. It will all come under quantum physics, but it is possible. It is possible through our traditional sciences. It is possible to decode, to quantify this prana. I would say I'm way into that research to identify how this oxygen gets converted into prana. Okay, so let's say heart is having the time from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Similarly, then the intestine has the time 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. So that's why the work that we are doing should be very much aligned to the organ's functionality also. Right? So from 1 p.m. to 3 p.m., when it is the time of the small intestine. Now, small intestine is very much responsible for digestion. The end part of the digestion happens in the small intestine. The initial part of the digestion. Large intestine happens. Yes. The initial part of the digestion, the food that we eat, gets broken down in the small intestine. So, and you see, it is very much during the lunch time that it is a time of the small intestine. So when we have lunch between 1 p.m. to 3 p.m., the small intestine is actually functioning so well. It will have its space to function so well that the digestion will be seamless, will be phenomenal. And the next stage happens. So from the small intestine, it gets into the large intestine. So once the food is broken down in the best manner, in the perfect manner, then your digestion is going to be perfect, right? So this is because the nutrients get absorbed in the small intestine. When that happens well, won't you feel energized after 3 p.m. once the digestion process happens? Once the intestine has done its work very well, won't you feel energetic after it? Right? Let's say at that time, 1 p.m. to 3 p.m., you're doing some hard work, like running around, like being on the field, like a cricket game or something, which is what we are doing actually. So when we do that, won't it affect the functionality of the small intestine? It will affect the functionality of the small intestine. That's when it slowly starts passing on this reaction. The small intestine takes that stress. It's a stress. This is where stress comes in. You are straining the small intestine. We are creating it. It is supposed to work in a certain way, but you're putting in some different kind of a tension and a pressure over there that the small intestine is not able to take it, right? But it will take it. That's how the body is. It's so strong that it will take the it's so kind to us. Mother Nature is so kind that it will take the maximum stress and then it will explode, right? So each of the organ has got a certain time. So how we connect the functionality of the organ with our routine is the hack over here. Is it possible to do that? Now again, each of these organs will have their own purpose, right? Like gallbladder has to take care of the bile secretion, liver has to detox the blood. So these are various things, the functionality of each of these organs. So this is what happens during this time. Now, how do we connect this organ functionality with our routine? Now, I've kind of created this dial, okay, where we can bridge the functionality of the organs with the routine that we follow here. So from 11 p.m. to 1 a.m. is a sleep time. That's possible, right? Can we ensure that we go to bed at 11 p.m.? Maximum by 11 p.m. to 1 a.m. we go to bed, we go to sleep. And then 1 a.m. to 3 a.m. we have deep sleep. 3 a.m. to 5 a.m. again we have deep sleep, right? That's the fifth stage of sleep. So 3 a.m. is when the brain will actually revive back. It will backtrack, it go into the extreme sleep, fifth stage, and then come back, level 4, level 3, level 2. By morning, we are up in the wake stage. Okay, so for each of these organs, can we ensure that we do this routine, follow this routine? Yes. Can we ensure that we are able to, wake up at 5 a.m. to 7 a.m.? Right? That is the time for the large intestine. So when you're waking up at that time, it's a signal to the brain that it's wake time, it's a daytime for us to start our work, our day freshly. So what happens? It sends a signal to the brain to flush out whatever has got accumulated over time. That's where the large intestine comes. It will try to flush out all the toxins and the waste that it has got accumulated over the previous day, and it flushes it out at 5 a.m. to 7 a.m. That's when the bowel movement has to happen. That's how the traditional people used to be, but over time we've kind of disturbed it. Yes, and 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. is a breakfast time. How many of us have this breakfast time, 7 a.m. to 9 a.m.? There are many people who skip the breakfast. They don't even have breakfast. Having breakfast at 10 a.m., having breakfast at 11 a.m., and then you tend to skip the lunch. Is it possible for us to ensure that we have breakfast at 7 a.m.? Because that's the time of the stomach. Stomach is the one that takes in the food, no? So when you feed the stomach at that time, won't it be happy? Won't it work well? Because it's already supposed to work well. And when you give the food that it requires at that time, it's going to be happy. No, it's going to function very well. It's going to make sure that the nutrients are absorbed in the best manner. So for each of these organs, there is a routine that we can follow, right? This becomes very easier, I would say, for kids. If you can train the kids to follow this routine, have this basic understanding, it becomes very easy for them over time. But we also can do it. I tried it. This is actually based on my experiment. I have tried and tested with people, and it's brought changes, right? Especially the heart. People with heart disorders, heart problems, they have to have lunch before 1 p.m. Is that possible? Do heart patients do that? Those who have weak heart, do they have lunch before 1 p.m.? If they do that, it's going to strengthen the heart. having lunch before 1 p.m. And 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. is a small intestine time. So they have to go for a nap. Take a small nap so that the small intestine does the absorption very well. Is that possible? Between in that window, is it possible for us at least 10 minutes? Can we give that time? Give a small rest. Nap time is not possible, just a relaxation. Just calm down and sit down. Sit down to yourself, meditate or say a prayer. Just calm down, be to your own self. Is that possible? If it is possible, then it's going to have a phenomenal effect on the functionality of each of these organs. I will share this deck later. Now, what do we take away? And we're coming to the end. Now, are we ready to redefine ourselves? Is this possible? These are some of the questions that I'm putting forward. Is it all possible? Are we willing to make this change? It's a change that is possible, but are we willing to do it? So what is the impact that it will have? It will have a great impact on ourselves, on our family, on our society as well. So the decision is all ours. Okay, now we just have to take the baby steps. Not minute changes. Make sure we sleep on time, because only when you sleep on time, you'll be able to get up on time, right? So that has a chain reaction. This is how the it's actually a cycle, but I've put it as a table, right, for us to, track it and all. Okay, so are we ready to take small steps, baby steps? Now, okay, so it is for those. I'm getting to something deeper, and we have understood certain concepts. So do you have any questions over here? Isha, Monica, Upma, any questions or any suggestions, any thoughts over here? What do you think about this routine?
No questions from my side. All good. Thank you.
Okay. And any
The
thoughts that you're
routine
getting?
is really insightful, but
any thoughts that you would like to share? Because what is going to come now is going to go a little bit deeper about how you're going to make it possible. The baby step, no? This is one step that I'll be putting forward. Now, how we take it is for each person. Yes. Any
no
thoughts over
thoughts
here?
as of now.
No? Okay. So shall we just continue?
Sure.
Okay. Let me share again. Okay, so now this is going to be more about the mental aspect. So how we dream about something, how we aspire for something, how we have a goal for something. I'm trying to connect it with the health. Now this becomes, now we've known that we need to have a certain routine change, routine realignment. We're going to follow our routine, but we're going to realign it a little bit so that it helps our internal organs, internal system to function very well, which eventually will help us to function in the best manner. All the energy that we want, all the emotional balance that we want, the social balance that we want, it will all get addressed. Right. So now can I say that's a dream? It's a dream for us to have the best energy all the time, to have the positive energy all the time. It's a dream, can we say? And then we aspire to have the dream. And once we have an aspiration, we have a goal. Because only with goals we'll be able to make it into a reality. Right. Now, goals we all normally have in our corporate world. Goals is what to achieve something in terms of productivity. We have goals and all, right? Can we have goals for health? Is it essential to have a goal for our health? Right? It is very much essential. It is only when we have a goal for our health also we can self-heal ourselves. Yes, without the help of medicines. My philosophy is completely about not using medicines. How you heal yourself. Give the space, time and space for our own self, our own organs to heal themselves. Right? That is possible only when you give a goal to that particular, let's say you have a heart functionality, a malfunctionality. You have a heart pain or palpitation for simple reason. due to anxiety or due to anger or due to because you've got dehydrated. That also could be a reason why you have a palpitation. So fear is another reason. So once you give a goal to the heart to say that, yes, I'm not going to panic my heart like this, hurt my heart like this. Once that becomes a goal, that's when it will get converted into reality, right? So now these are the health goals that is possible, that we could easily use to implement whatever we just saw about the routine realignment. So have a health, what first we need to have clarity about what is health, how we define health, how we look at health, right? Once we have that clarity for ourselves, each one is going to have a different definition. I'm not going the medical way. They will talk about hormones, they will talk about chemicals, they will talk about the blood system, the various internal nervous system. All that will be spoken about. But health, how we see for each one is going to differ. Health is not wearing glasses is health. Having glowing skin is health, right? Health can be a fair complexion is health. It could be different for each person. So first have an understanding about health, where we stand, have clarity about where we stand in terms of health, and do we really have the best of the health, or are we aspiring for a better health? So once we know where we want to go, we'll have a goal setting over there. And then what we'll have to do, we'll have to design that goal. You'll have to basically do a goal designing. Goal setting is one thing, goal designing is another thing. You set the goal and then you design it. It's like just like project planning. We design the goal itself. All right. So what is possible? Have a goal card. Design a goal card for each one. There'll be a different goal statement. There'll be a different goal itself. The goal itself will change because the way you perceive health itself may change. So for each one, it will be different, but overall, there could be a certain common design, like just like architecture. You need bricks and cement and stones to build a house. That's a basic thing. Now, how you're using that, how you're constructing that is different. So the basic design, the basic components will be the same, but how you use it, how you design the use the components in a different way is where we can put it in a goal card. Because every time, only when you write it down, it becomes concrete. It becomes a signal to the brain to saying that, yes, this is something that I have to do. When you write it down, it becomes registered in the brain. It's a signal that goes on to the brain. So how that the fingers work, that is another thing. That's actually, this is where everything starts. Fingertip. We can go so deep into it. We can control our internal organs with these fingertips. Palpitation can when your palpitation can be controlled through their fingertip. Coma, when you fall, when you have fits, fingertips can be used. It is so subtle. Fingertips are so important. So that's why when you write something down, it sends a signal to the brain, right, to follow certain things. So what are the various inhibitions in terms of goal? You have a goal, but are there any barriers? Is there any kind of a disturbance? Is it internal conflict, or it's a social barrier that you're experiencing, your environment? How is it? All these things can be listed down. It is very important to list all these things down, because when you have a goal, you need to have clarity as to how to reach the goal, right? So we can put it all in a goal card. And I'm talking all of this in terms of the health aspect. Have health as a goal, right? And then we can even have a routine tracker. Once you have a goal, you know what is your weak point or your strength, and when it's your strength, you can strengthen it further. When it's a weak point, you'll have to strengthen it, obviously. So how you do it, using a tracker, right? Is it possible? Do you need a tracker? All these things is what will come in the implementation part. If since many had actually almost 60% had mentioned that they want to implement. Right. So what I will do is I will post this session. I will share some trackers that I've prepared. So you can download them and start marking it on your day-to-day life, as to where you stand in terms of your sleep or your food intake or your work schedule. All that, based on that, we can track it easily. So this is something that I'll share. You can even customize it for yourself. This is from my end. Over time, I have experimented that, and I've just kind of collated that. In terms of energy trackers, right? The various systems that we, body systems, body organs, how do we energize all that? Okay, so this, yeah, the additional thing is after this session, this is just a small session. After this, I'll be having rolling out information about a 5-day masterclass where we'll talk about each of these parameters. Like I'll talk a little bit about pain. We'll talk about trauma, right? So various conditions about anxiety, various conditions. We'll pick up each of the topics and we'll talk elaborately in a 5-day masterclass. So I want to have it as a series of masterclasses where each of the topics can be addressed in detail. Right, once we have more understanding about the hormones, about the sleep pattern, about our food, about the diet that we need to follow, the exercises, the breathing exercises that we need to follow, the mudras that we have to follow. Right, when I talk about the fingertips, mudras work with the fingertips. The changes that these mudras can bring to our life. Yeah, how do we determine which mudra is necessary for me at this particular moment? Right, all these things can be explained in this masterclass series. Right, so that I'm planning to have it from Monday to Friday, 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. I'll roll out the information. Agenda also I'll share in the WhatsApp group. Please join the announcement group if possible. Yeah, because it becomes very essential. And then post the session, we'll have a personal consultation. I'll roll out the link as well, so you can pick your convenient time, and then we can discuss further in detail, because almost everyone had preferred a consultation. So it will be great to understand in detail as to how to adapt these changes or move, look at further things as well. Right, so this is my hub, Team Health Hub, and just talking a little bit about where I stand. So I'm working for the wellness for women and children, basically, without medicines, how you cure yourself, how you compose your own cure. Right, so this program is basically to help the women to understand women are so empowered, so capable of doing so many things. So why not heal themselves? Why not heal their family? Why not prevent diseases and issues and all? So this is how the program has been designed, so that you can heal yourself. All these are the various therapies that can be. I'm very much willing to explain about each of these therapies: the color therapy, aromatherapy, seed therapy. That's so phenomenal. It works wonders. So how you can overcome your imbalances with all these basic things that we have at home, the stuff, the kitchen stuff, the pepper. What can pepper do? When you have to use pepper, when you have to use fenugreek, when you have to use coriander seeds. So once you have this basic understanding, it's going to be first aid. You don't even have to go to doctor. The child has got fever, use the pepper. At what point, when you apply, how much of pepper you apply, that is the understanding that you'll want. For what kid, for yourself, how much you apply, for how long. So this is possible. Being a self-wellness expert is possible. We just have to have the desire, the dream, the dream becomes aspiration, and then have a goal, right? So this is where the hub will be specializing in. We will get into elements also, doshas also, talk a lot about Ayurveda and all that. So all these things are possible. So these are various programs that I'm having, of which this is the holistic healing program, right? The healthcare essentials program. Okay, so
Very nice. I have a question for you. Do you what language you speak? Do you also take in regional native languages? I was just curious if I can
Yes, yes.
suggest to
I
someone.
I know Hindi and Tamil. I'm basically from here,
Huh.
Tamil Nadu.
Mm.
So
Mm.
English is obviously there.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Okay.
mm,
Okay. Thanks.
actually,
And
I
may I
do
know
want.
where did you uh-huh,
Yeah.
where did you do your course or this thing from or
Yes,
the study or whatever
I
pertaining to
would say
this?
it was not easy. It took me
Uh-huh.
time. I had to go searching. But
Uh-huh.
yeah, first it happened internally. I had to align myself as to like the
Yeah.
goal setting. No, had to make a decision as to this
Okay.
is what I wanted to do. First,
Oh,
that
nice.
clarity had to happen within myself. I
Uh-huh.
had to know that this is what I'm lacking. This is my problem. I, this is my problem is
Yeah.
I had to figure that out first. Yes, that spirituality definitely helped. Prayer helped.
Okay.
Yeah, prayer, because naturally for us,
Nice.
prayers become very easy. You know, it's been designed that way
Yeah.
to compose, calm ourselves, calm our mind and all. So we have been blessed in that way, the Eastern world. You know, naturally it comes to us. We just have to say these mantras
Yeah.
and yeah.
A
So
lot of
for me,
people use it as an excuse, but people don't use it for healing.
yeah. So that's a
Mhm.
consciousness, no? We need to be conscious about
Yeah,
what's
yeah.
happening to ourselves
Mm.
internally and externally. Yeah, so, and women are so conscious, intuitive, highly intuitive, right?
Mm.
Yeah, so this is a chakra
So
over
I
here that
like
is
your concept.
mm, yeah, so
Yeah, I like you said no without medicine and you want to encourage this thing. That is
yeah,
interesting, very. So
yeah,
I appreciate it. Thanks.
yeah, thank you. So it's all there with we call women as Shakti, no? And aren't we have Shakti, right? We we have
Yeah.
to have that Shakti within ourselves so that it becomes vibrant and you know I see lot of
Okay. So
anxiety,
yeah, yeah. Sorry
anxiety
to interrupt
issues.
in between.
No
I before
problem.
I no, I got your point. I didn't mean to interrupt or anything. Before I forget what is coming to me, I was just but I think I will connect with you in general. I saw a couple of fields in the form, right? So
Mm.
I wanted to talk to you on that. Maybe I'll talk to you. I'll get connect with you.
Sure, 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 sure.
Yeah.
I want
Hmm.
to take it out to the rural women as well. You know, in the vernaculars. You know, we're so much lost. You know, thinking that we do not know a lot of things,
Hmm.
right?
Correct. Yeah.
Because we've been conditioned that way. We
two
have to.
generations
Mm,
two generations have lost the
yeah,
knowledge, if I'm not
yeah.
wrong.
So, what are we going to? We are lost. What are we going to give to the next generation? Yeah.
Generation,
So,
right?
yeah. So
How
that
are
actually.
we? I mean, this
Sorry.
has to be I mean, people are doing individually, but it is not massively going into the public, or or they are like still having stigma. Oh, we might be typecast or something. That is still there for a lot of people, I feel. This
Yeah.
knowledge, I mean, whatever
Mm,
practice,
yes.
right?
Yeah, that's why I've kind of
Mhm.
wanted to have it as a program where everyone can follow. It becomes easier. But the basic understand once it gets triggered, no, then it becomes easier for everyone. It's going to
Yeah,
be a chain reaction. You're going to pass this information, especially at least to our family. My thing, this
correct.
journey for me got triggered with my kid only. For me, it
Hmm.
started off with my kid. Seeing when I didn't know certain things, or I was looking for certain things, how to handle being a mother, how do you handle things
Mm-hmm.
differently and all. So that's where my journey happened. Where that's when I started looking at myself internally. When he's mischievous, how do I react? I need to stay calm.
Hmm.
No, where do I go for it?
Yeah.
That is where
Mhm.
my journey happened, and over time I kind of figured out, and I got into some sessions and all, learned all these things. acupuncture,
Oh,
acupressure. They have the wealth of information. Now I'll be learning Siddha, Reiki. There are lots of energy
oh,
elements. Yeah, so it's
yeah.
actually adding on. I'm basically a data scientist. I'm a statistician basically.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I have
Yeah, I saw, I think, your profile or somewhere. I saw that
I've
you were
I've been
into
in data
technical and then.
analytics. Yes, but I've had an acumen for psychology from childhood.
Ah, okay.
But yeah,
Okay.
it's for social reasons. Parents didn't understand all that. I didn't express well. So
Yeah,
all
we
these
have to
things.
first prove to world and parents and then to ourselves. And then,
Yes,
okay, I have done this now. It
yes.
is my
Now I
time. I
can.
want to do this.
Right. Yeah. So
Oh,
so
always a
then
tough call. Huh?
I kind of by God's grace and by nature I became a psychologist, and then I
Oh.
connected energy with that, so it's come out as energy psychology, and so I'm trying to put
Mm.
this program